Despite fully intending to end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours of taking office, the US administration is disappointed with the attitude of both sides and is beginning to send increasingly worrying messages. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said that President Donald Trump may abandon attempts to broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine within days if there are no clear signs that such an agreement is possible. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who met in Paris with representatives of France, Germany, the UK, and Ukraine, indicated that President Trump remains committed to reaching an agreement.
We're not going to continue with this endeavor for weeks and months on end. So we need to determine very quickly now, and I'm talking about in a matter of days, whether or not this is doable over the next few weeks. If it is, we're in. If it's not, then we have other priorities.
The head of U.S. diplomacy said there are many other important things in the world that also require attention.
The Ukraine war is a terrible thing, but it's not our war. We didn't start it. The United States has been helping Ukraine over the last 3 years, and we want it to end.
According to experts, Rubio's statement is an element of pressure on Russia because it was around the Easter holidays, hypothetically, that the ceasefire was supposed to go into effect. We can treat this as a part of negotiations, growing pressure and growing impatience about Russia's attitude. In the broader plan, nothing has changed. It is China that remains the biggest threat. NATO's doctrinal document also holds China as the #1 threat. In contrast, Vice President J.D. Vance, speaking to Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni in Rome, has a somewhat softer message and says the United States is optimistic about ending the war.
We have a couple of important issues to discuss today. I want to update the Prime Minister on some of the negotiations between Russia, Ukraine, and also some of the things that have happened. Even in the past 24 hours, we think we have some interesting things to report on, of course, in private. So these negotiations, I won't prejudge them, but we do feel optimistic that we can hopefully bring this war, this very brutal war, to a close.
Ukraine and the United States signed a memorandum Thursday as the first step toward a mineral deal. We are happy to announce the signing, with our American partners, of a memorandum of intent, which paves the way for an economic partnership agreement and the establishment of the Investment Fund for the Reconstruction of Ukraine. We hope that the fund will become an effective tool for attracting investments in the reconstruction of our country, modernization of infrastructure, support for business, and the creation of new economic opportunities. President Trump has sought an agreement that would give the United States preferential access to Ukraine's rare earth metals as repayment for Washington's military aid to Ukraine, as well as a form of insurance against Russian attacks. Meanwhile, Russian rockets continue to fall on Ukrainian cities. Civilians, including children, are being killed. The 1,150th day of the war has been a tragedy for the residents of Kharkiv and Sumy. 2 people have been killed and dozens injured. It was 3 Iskanders with cluster munitions that caused the terrible scene we see here. This is a residential area. It was early in the morning when people were waking up and going to school and work. This is how Russia began this Good Friday, with ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, Shaheds, maiming our people and cities. The Russians also struck Sumy on April 13th, Palm Sunday. The attack killed 35 and wounded 117.